Hello and welcome to another episode of Inside the Huddle. Today is Sunday, November 23rd. This is episode 85 of the Inside the Huddle podcast. Thank you, as always, for joining us. For those on YouTube, make sure to please like and subscribe. Another week of the NFL season is here. A couple games are full slate today, and in a couple days from now, we get a full Thanksgiving slate. Black Friday game, another full slate next Sunday. So gearing up for a lot of football here over the next week. But it is week 12 today. Lots of good games on tap. Diving into it all this time of year, you start to take a look at the playoff picture as things start to shape out as we get to the end of November into December. Good old December football here starting in about a week or so as teams really start to make that final push towards the playoffs over halfway through the 2025 campaign. DiMari, lots to discuss today. Season is continuing to roll on. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm good. We have a great week of football. I mean, looking at this slate today, this is probably one of the best slates of the year, if we're being honest. Just throwing out a few Bucks, Rams, Cowboys, Eagles, Colts, Chiefs, like a lot of good games kind of ramping up for the playoff indication. So I'm really excited for that. Long-awaited start for Shedeur Sanders. Many thought we would probably have this conversation week 1 of the NFL. And now we're week 12. Shedeur finally gets his chance against a very lackluster Raiders team, so maybe he can go out and showcase why he potentially should have been a top 5 pick. But no, this is a great time. You know, we both love November football. This when it gets the most meaningful. So kind of sets us up for a great show today. So let's get into it.
Yeah, it's an exciting time of year as each week rolls on here. You get a lot of big matchups with playoff implications, divisional implications, and yeah, you get some of the other stories such as Shedeur, which we'll get to later on, making his first start of his NFL career after coming in last week for the injured Dillon Gabriel. So see what he looks like and see if the Browns maybe struck gold with the day 3 pick against a Raiders team that, talking off air, has a lot of problems of its own. And we'll dive into all that later on. But we'll start today going back here a couple days to Thursday Night Football. And this will kind of transition into our first real 2 big segments here, diving into the playoff picture in both the AFC, NFC, how things look right now and how we kind of see things shaping out over the next month and a half here up until Wild Card weekend. But the Buffalo Bills go into Houston on Thursday night and lay a stinker, lay a dud, a team that started the season 4-0 as we kind of just lay out where the Bills are at here. You start the year 4-0. You have that crazy win over the Ravens. You beat up on the Jets. You beat up on the Dolphins. You beat up on the Saints. So you beat up on 3 bad teams, and you beat one team in the Ravens that at first looked like the wheels are falling off, now have kind of steered the ship in the right direction at 5-5 and right in the mix in the AFC North. But then you lose to the Patriots. You lose to the Falcons. You get a bye week. You come out, win 2 in a row. You do have that win over Kansas City. You do end up beating Tampa Bay last week. But then you also have the loss to Miami now, loss to the Texans. Since starting 4-0, they have now gone 3-4 over the last 7 games. They're now 7-4 on the season. And Thursday night was ugly on so many levels. Josh Allen, 2 interceptions. On top of that, got sacked 8 times against this Texans defense. And Davis Mills went out there and did what he needed to do, threw 2 touchdowns and picked up a win for the Houston Texans. They have now won 3 in a row. Davis Mills leading the way here has won 3 in a row, going back to the game that against Denver, they did lose that game. But Davis Mills, they're on a win streak. Texans are playing better. But from the Bills' standpoint, you fall to 7-4. It's ugly. I just, what are your thoughts on where they stand right now, just overall, and even Thursday night's performance?
First, let me say this. The San Francisco 49ers have had 12 sacks all year as a team. We are in week 12 of football. Houston had 8 in one game. And I think when you look at that, you got to look at the offensive line. And I mean, I know Houston's defense is good. Like, they are a very good unit. But there's no football game you're winning with 8 sacks, giving up 2 turnovers. They have to be better. And I mean, Josh Allen and the losses have not looked like MVP Josh Allen. It kind of gives you the rookie year 2020 making mistakes, bonehead plays type of Josh Allen, holding the ball on too long. And, I've said this before, holding the ball too long, not always on the quarterback. Sometimes about the receivers not getting open. But he and just the team in general is just taking a step back this year. And it kind of makes me think, looking at the standings, like, we are going to talk about it later, are the Bills going to miss the playoffs? I mean, coming into this year, we did not expect New England with this outlier season sitting at 9-2. We did not expect that. And for the Bills, you're playing catch up. I mean, you've now lost 2 games in the division by itself. It's not looking good for them. And I mean, this is a team, honestly, we always think going into every year, as long as Buffalo gets there, they can finally get over that hump and they can finally make a push. It seems the case every single season, the last few seasons. Okay, this is the year. They got it this time. They acquired this. They're going to do it this year. Buffalo, this is a wild card loss. I don't see in this team. You're not going into New England to beat them. I don't think you beat the Colts. You better hope you luck up and match up with, the Chargers or the Steelers, maybe if they make it. This Buffalo team is not good enough to get past the wild card right now.
No, they're a mess in a lot of ways. And you're spot on about the division. I kind of want to go back to that. That's what's crazy about this whole thing is at the beginning of the year, we all kind of just Bills, like you ask around, right? AFC is who's going to win. It's going to be the Bills. They've owned that division for the last, 6 years now, really ever. Once Brady left, it was in Josh Allen's hands, and he's had it this entire time. And really, they haven't had to sweat out much of these division titles other than the 2023 season with Miami, where they had the collapse and Buffalo was sitting at 6-6, finished the season winning, 5 in a row to get to 11-6, beating Miami and in the Sunday night game and the last week of the season. Other than that, though, every other division race has pretty much been a blowout because you've got a Patriots team that's been rebuilding. The Jets are always rebuilding. The Dolphins are, had the one good year, but they've now been on a slow decline. Buffalo's owned that division, and they've been right near the top of the AFC. And now you look at this year, number one, they're lucky that if they can even get into the playoffs as a wild card right now, but it's also crazy to think they're going to have to go on the road this postseason. That's not something that Buffalo has usually had to do, specifically in early rounds. Now, last year they did have to go on the road in the title game against Kansas City, but the year before that, they hosted Kansas City actually in the divisional round, and they would have had to go on the road for the title game, but they've been the 2 seed the last couple of years here where they've had the first couple of rounds at home. Now they're going to be tested if they even do make the playoffs to have to go on the road because the division it's going to be really tough. The Patriots are 9-2. The Bills are 7-4. The Patriots already have the win over them in their own building, by the way. Bills play the New England one more time, but it's on the road. You think if the Patriots continue to play the way they're playing, they're probably going to win that game, especially now that it's at home, considering they already beat Buffalo on the road earlier in the year. It's rough. This feels like the first, because that's always been the mindset with Buffalo. It's get in and hopefully one year you can get over the top. I remember the episode we did after the championship weekend last year, which was basically what's next for the Bills. And it's not like they could make one roster move or one change. I think the only thing that they probably could have done was, right, there was that when Myles Garrett requested the trade, and you could say, okay, they could get that elite pass rusher that could get to Mahomes in the AFC title game and completely destroy him and take over that game. Because that's the one thing that the Bills probably have lacked for all this is the elite pass rusher, which is huge come playoff time and huge in terms of stopping some of these other elite quarterbacks. But the consensus was just get to the playoffs and, number one, hope that Kansas City gets knocked out, or number two, hope that you could just beat Kansas City one of these years. And as long as they have Josh Allen, they're going to have a chance. And they still have a chance if they get in this year because they have Josh Allen. But this feels like the first time where in the Josh Allen era where a change is going to need to be made at some level. I think there's a real chance McDermott potentially gets canned here if this is a team that loses in the wild card round. On the road, finishes, let's say, as the 6th seed, 10-7, maybe. You feel like you have to make a change, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, again, coming to this year, and we said it, this division was Buffalo's to lose. They didn't necessarily have to win it. But now you're getting beat by New England at home. And again, all props to Mike Vrabel, Drake May in New England. So I'm not going to discredit New England for anything. I mean, sitting at 9-2 for a reason. But now you're coming into this year, and I like how you just mentioned, let's acquire some pieces to beat the elite quarterbacks. They have not. They're the quarterbacks they're losing to are not elite. Davis Mills, Tua. And still not going to label Drake, Bo Nix. Like, I'm still not going to yet label Drake May as elite. Still got to see more going into the future, seasons to come. Obviously, 1 year is not going to prove it. But you're not losing to elite quarterbacks. Your defense is awful. Your offense, flips the coin every week where, hey, let's go score 44 on Tampa and we're going to look great, which they struggled for a lot of that game. I think the fourth quarter is when they decided to finally piece it together and turn up there. But you go out and this dominant win against Tampa to prove, we do belong with the top of the NFL. If you're going to talk about the Broncos and whoever, you need to talk about us. And then you have weeks where you play Houston like Thursday and you look like you don't deserve to be on the field. It's bad. And, I mean, if you're going into this offseason, yeah, you're sitting at 10-7. And you lose in a wild card. I mean, right now, if the season were to end, they would get matched up with the Colts. So you go into Indianapolis and you lose after going 10-7, considering looking at some of those losses that you suffered, which all this could have been avoided with losses again to Miami, losses to Houston. Those games really matter more than you think. So you go and you lose in that first round and you look back and you're just like, a few of these games go a different way. We have a home playoff game and we're still going compared to one and done. McDermott might be on the hot seat. I don't want to say can necessarily, but it's going to be a scorching hot seat.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny with the whole McDermott discussion because it feels like for the last couple of years, every year they don't win the Super Bowl, his seat's a little warm.
Yeah.
There is the portion of the Bills fan base that every year they fall short of the Super Bowl, even if they win 13, 14 games and get the 2 seed and make a run to the title game, go 13-4 and just lose to Kansas City like they usually do. There's still the fans that are like, get rid of him and hopefully you can find a coach that's going to get you over the top. And I've always kind of disagreed with that sentiment because you don't know if you're going to really find that coach. It's a risk. It's a balance thing because maybe you do find that coach that can get you over the top, but there is the risk of finding a coach that's worse than McDermott and you suffer severe regression. But this is a different story because they're going well below expectations. They look like an average football team right now. I actually think their record's better than the way they're playing, and I think their record's better because the teams they beat up on earlier in the year. I mean, they smoked the Jets. They beat up on New Orleans. They beat up on Miami at home. Not taking anything away from them, but those are 3 of probably the easiest wins you can come by this season in the NFL, especially early with Miami. I know Miami's now starting to pile up some wins, but early in the season with Miami, they were a complete disaster. And Miami did actually stick around in that game on Thursday night, like the Jets and the Saints. Like, come on now. And they've also been horrible on the road. The only 2 road wins they've had is against Carolina and the Jets. Let's not act like those are some tough road games. And they've lost road games to the Falcons, the Dolphins, which they never lose to, and now the Texans.
Which it just looks, again, it looks.
And they're going to have to go
Atlanta's not going anywhere. Atlanta stinks. Season's done. Look towards the draft boards. Houston, also, briefly, a credit to Davis Mills for keeping them in the mix. When Stroud was done and out, it looked over with. They're still in the hunt right now. So you look at that one. The Houston one doesn't look too bad, but then again, you expect them to go and win those games. Again, this is a team we thought 13, 14 wins coming into this year. So you can't drop the Atlantas, you can't drop the Houstons. Mm-hmm. But to your point, I mean, the wins, you look at the wins, you look at the road losses, that's kind of the main thing. The only one that you can really say, okay, well, props to them. Crazy to say this is Carolina. Carolina's been playing very good football, especially at home. Carolina has beat some very good football teams, so you give the Bills credit for that. But these ones, like, you shouldn't be in a dogfight with Atlanta. You shouldn't be in a dogfight with Houston with no CJ Stroud. You shouldn't be in a dogfight with Tua and Mike McDaniel, who any week could possibly lose their job. Like, it's unacceptable for a team that's been consistently good, a game or two away from the Super Bowl each year. It doesn't make sense. This team, like you said, the record, you look at the Bills, and I'm gonna throw another one out there briefly, but you look at the Bills and you look at the Chargers, and they're the two worst 7-4 teams I've ever watched play football, and that is a concern, especially for the Bills, who, once again, this was your division to lose, and you have beat yourself more this year than other teams that actually beat you.
Yeah, and even in that Carolina game, I mean, Andy Dalton was under center. So you'd hope they would blow them out in that game, which they did, and you take care of business, right? What do they say? Good teams win, great teams cover. Yeah. So you beat them 40-9. You're supposed – that's a game that, even though Carolina was playing better, they were with their backup quarterback. That's a game that you should win by a wide margin. And Texans defense has been great this year. Davis Mills, these last couple weeks, has been good. He's been doing his job. They've won 3 games in a row. He's got them back in the playoff picture after starting 3-5, looking like they were completely dead. But it's Josh Allen. You should not have Davis Mills play better than you in a Thursday night game and do more to help his team win than you, in a way. So this whole Bills run here with Josh Allen is turning into a giant waste of time, honestly, if they don't get this thing corrected very soon. Not specifically this year, but moving on from this year. If you don't revamp this roster, make adjustments, whether that's making a coaching change, whatever it is, and you just continue to run it back every year in and year out when it's proven now that it hasn't worked, and now this year you've taken a big regression, a big step back, you're wasting Josh Allen's prime with all of this. And look, Josh Allen does deserve criticism for this as well. As bad as the defense has been, the turnovers have started to come back into his game, which is really concerning. He's got 9 interceptions this year, which is the most since 2023. Last year, you saw the interceptions drop down to 6, which is really impressive. This year, it's back up to 9. He's going to have another double-digit teen interception season, most likely, which is not good considering it felt like he was headed in the right direction with that after last year with the turnovers. And there's been some plays from Josh that are just stupid. Like the chest pass against the Bucks. Yeah, the chest pass against the Bucks was a rookie mistake. That's something that he would have done his rookie year. I even go back to, and I don't hate it because it was a forward pass anyway, but when he was running, he scrambled and there was, I forget the receiver to his left, but he threw it to him. Yeah. It was a forward pass. And I know they did the hook and ladder, and that's sometimes what Buffalo does in their offense. They kind of do some trickery, and the hook and ladder worked against Houston on that play. It obviously didn't end up scoring, but what was it, a fourth and
27.
It's 27, right? And they got 33 yards on it.
Yeah.
Those type of plays work, but there's been some dumb things that Josh Allen's done. There's just been some dumb interceptions. I even go back to the Atlanta game. One of the picks that he threw before halftime was just stupid. Like, he just take care of the football. There's nobody there. There's nobody open. You throw it in the middle of the field in a dangerous area, and it's picked off. Like, those are things that he would have done 3-4 years ago, not now. So he deserves criticism for this as well. The defense is horrible, and they didn't do anything at the trade deadline to get a receiver, and the receivers are awful. And that falls on Brandon Beane. And I understand, teams didn't want to trade with them. Come on now. Like, that to me is just, you got to, anybody. It maybe Jalen Waddle, they didn't want to trade Jalen Waddle, but you could have found another, and find anybody. Look around. I mean, their leading receiver is Khalil Shakir right now. Dalton Kincaid's inconsistent. Keon Coleman's now been benched these last 2 games. The receiving core is a train wreck, and I think it's smacking them in the face because last year, not having a number 1 receiver and having Matt Collins and Khalil Shakir and all these different guys, it worked. But Josh Allen's now take a step back, and part of that I think has been the receiving core because it's so bad. I mean, Gabe Davis is playing with the Bills right now. Like, what are we doing?
It's the only thing. It's rough. I mean, and I think we talked about this last episode or episode before. If Josh Allen plays his best ball without a wide receiver
Yes.
one, but the Bills are not going to get anywhere without a wide receiver one. But if you already had, White and work out with Stephon Diggs, and that relationship was broken. Diggs is chirping in your ear, those type of things. That gets to your quarterback. That draws a disconnect. So, I mean, you look at all the wide receiver ones, and we've had this conversation before on a previous episode with the wide receivers being divas. It's like Josh Allen does not need that. So who can they trade for? A.J. Brown, you see what he's going through right now in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Debo and San Fran. The only person that jumps out, just going into next year, now looking ahead, is like, okay, go make a move for Brandon Ayuk. But you see how Ayuk is handling things in San Fran, and those reports are coming out. So you're just like, who are you going to go get that your wide receiver one, that when times are rough and they aren't getting the ball, they're not as involved in the game script, who is going to stand there and kind of still show like, hey, I'm going to get involved in other ways, whether that's run blocking, that's helping my teammates out, whatever the case is. I don't want to say it's impossible in the league nowadays, but it's like trying to, find a needle in a haystack, if we're being honest. But that's kind of, I guess, the balance beam that Buffalo has to deal with, where it's like, hey, we're either going to continue this run of insanity, not in a good insanity in the bad way, where there's no wide receiver one, and we're going to rely on Shedeur and Kincaid, or we're going to go get us a wide receiver one and Josh Allen have to force feed whoever this guy is, but this method right now isn't working. The wide receiver one method with Diggs didn't work. It's kind of like they're in no man's land, and it's kind of crazy to say that for a team that has been so good for the past 6-7 years we're talking about, and now it's coming down to, well, if you don't have a receiver, you won't win anything.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's the reality's hitting them hard with that, and obviously Josh Allen played better last year without the number one, but now you've started to see a regression with that, and they're just in a tough spot, both sides of the football, and maybe you need a new voice, whether that's moving on from McDermott. The defense has been awful. He is a defensive-minded coach, not that firing the head coach always changes one side of the football, because at the end of the day, he is a head coach. He's got to oversee everything. I believe Bobby Babich is DC. Do you move on from him potentially? Something needs to change. Like, you can't, and who knows, maybe they go on and win the Super Bowl. I don't see that happening, but you can't go 10-7 this year, losing the wild card, which is where they're headed. And you look at their upcoming schedule, they got Pittsburgh next week, then Cincy, New England, the Browns, the Eagles, the Jets. So there's some softies in there, right? You should be able to take care of business against Cleveland. You should be able to take care of business against the Jets, and you should be able to beat the Bengals. At home, they should carve up that Bengals defense. But Pittsburgh won't be an easy task for either team. That'll be a tough matchup for both sides. That'll be a good game. New England obviously won't be easy, and Philly won't be easy. So that's very realistically your path to going 3-3 the rest of the way and being 10-7. Is beating the Bengals, Browns, and Jets and losing to the Steelers, Patriots, and Eagles. And who knows? I mean, they've had some bad losses. Who's to say they can't go on the road and lose to Cleveland? And Cleveland's defense has been great.
I think, was looking at it earlier. Honestly, if I had to kind of predict where I think Buffalo, how this might go for them, they go 11-6. They beat Cleveland. They're going to beat Pittsburgh. They're going to beat the Jets. They're going to beat the Bengals. They find a way to go 11-6. They move up to 5. I think the Chargers drop, probably switch spots after now. They drop. Buffalo matches up with Baltimore in that first round, go into Baltimore. I think, honestly, they beat Baltimore in the wild card and then end up losing second round to whoever they may face. But Buffalo has to get that 5 seed, because if they sit in that 6 seed and we are talking about 10-7, I don't see them going into Indianapolis. If the season were to end right now, how it is standing wise, but I don't see them going into Indianapolis and beating the Colts at home. Never thought we would say that with who's behind center, but credit to the Colts and how they've been looking. That's a very good football team, and I don't think the Bills have enough to go in there and get the job done.
Yeah, and I would say that's what's probably most painful about this whole Bills regression is the Chiefs are nowhere to be seen. They are fighting for their lives today. They lose today against the Colts. They're 5-6. And you can really start to bury them a little bit in the playoff picture in the AFC. Forget about, obviously, the division with the loss last week to Denver, but just playoffs at this point. They're starting to fight for their playoff lives in KC. So that is one big dragon that the Bills wouldn't have to take down this year, but the Bills are having their own struggles. So it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot for Buffalo, and it feels like this is probably the year that gets change. And this always happens, right? Teams, win championships, and down a couple of years later, that core, that group begins to get a little stale, and you have to change things up. And there's always teams that make a ton of runs, get to the playoffs year in and year out, and then it gets to a point where you kind of hit a wall. Bills feel like they've hit that point and changes are needed. Still think they'll make the playoffs. And look, if they make the playoffs and you have Josh Allen, anything can happen. But only time will tell. Anyway, that transitions perfectly into our next segment here, which is breaking down where things currently stand in the AFC and NFC playoff picture and kind of giving a little bit of a look ahead to how we could see this thing playing out once we get to the end of Week 18 and once we get to Wild Card Weekend. So we'll start with the AFC. As things stand right now, you've got Broncos as the 1 seed, Patriots behind them 2, Colts 3, Steelers 4. Another one of these still feels like this is like a decade ago that we're talking about here with Peyton or whoever, whichever Broncos Colts team you want to throw. The Colts with Peyton, you've got obviously Brady, you've got Big Ben. Now it's just Daniel Jones, Bo Nix, New England, or Drake May and Aaron Rodgers. So just a little different. And then your wild cards are the Chargers, or your 5, 6, 7 seeds are the Chargers, Bills, and Jags. And the teams look outside looking in right now: Texans, Chiefs, Ravens, and that's about it. Then you get to your 11 seed, which is the Dolphins. Those teams don't have any chance. But the 8, 9, and 10 seeds still have a shot here, Ravens specifically with the North. So what are your thoughts right now on just the AFC playoff picture as a whole?
Very top. It's very top heavy. I can tell you that. I mean, Jags at 6-4, not a team I still believe in, but I don't think the Jags make it. I'm gonna just throw that out there right now. I don't think they end up making the playoffs. There's gonna be some changes when the year definitely comes in. So I think New England's gonna end up getting the 1 seed. I mean, I feel like we have not talked about New England enough. I could just not recall previous episodes as well, but that's a very good football team. That is a very sound, efficient football team. I really like New England. So I think New England end up getting the 1 seed. We're going to go Denver at 2 if it lines up. Probably go Colts 3. I'm right with you with the Ravens. I think the Ravens win this division. I mean, we're looking at week 4, and we're like, season's done. Who can the Ravens start look for in the draft? Ravens have made a push here. I think they're going to take over Pittsburgh's spot. Pittsburgh's losing today anyways. I mean, I'm so sorry. If you have to watch Mason Rudolph against Chicago today, playoff hopes are probably done. So I honestly think Ravens end up getting that 4 seed, Chargers, Bills, and I think the Texans get in. To be honest, C.J. Stroud, I don't know when Stroud is coming back. Only unfortunate news for Houston, Joe Mixon will not be back this year. Holding on to hope that they get him back, but that news came out. So, yeah, I think how the seeding works, the Jags drop, Steelers drop, and Ravens get in. Chiefs miss the playoffs. I know it sounds crazy, but I just don't believe in those units. Not yet.
So you have Jags out. So who's your 7 then? Houston, okay. I still think the Chiefs make the playoffs. And this isn't – it's more so just it's tough to envision for me a world where Houston doesn't make the playoffs, or Kansas City doesn't make the playoffs rather. But it's just because they've been in it every single year, and but there really isn't any evidence this season to say that they will make the playoffs with the loss to Denver, the loss to Buffalo, they lost to Philly, they lost to the Chargers, they lost to the Jaguars. They've got a lot of those tiebreakers. I know you mentioned that earlier to all these other AFC teams because they've lost to all of them. And frankly, you look at the games they've won, they beat the Ravens as they were going through their early season struggles. They beat the Giants when Russell Wilson was throwing balls to the uprights and in the tunnel to go to the locker room, which, again, they were open, but, questionable throws nonetheless on Sunday Night Football. You beat the Raiders, you beat the Commanders. You do have that win over the Lions, not taking anything away. The Lions were banged up as all heck in their secondary that game. By the way, I feel like we get every single year the Lions are banged up at some point. Yeah. Like them and the Niners every single year here, they just get beat up, and there's just weeks where they're rolling practice squad players out there. I still think they find a way to get in, though. And I think it's more so not that I believe in the Chiefs. I just still don't believe in the Jaguars, and I still don't know if I believe a ton in the Texans because as much as they've won these 3 straight games here and their defense has been excellent, Davis Mills has been fine. He's been good, win 3 games in a row, but Stroud coming back, he has not had a good year since the concussion. The big matchup, they'll play each other 2 weeks from now on Sunday night, which would be a big test. I still don't trust, I guess, Houston enough, their offense enough, I guess. At the end of the day, I would trust Kansas City, the track record there. And their schedule's tougher than Houston because they've still got Denver. They still have the Chargers, as much as the Chargers can be viewed as not a huge threat. Still a tough test and a team that they've lost to. They've still got Dallas on Thanksgiving and then the Colts today. I still think KC gets in, though, as the 7. And are we shocked if KC gets in as the 7 and makes a run?
I'm going to say yes because hot take here. After Thanksgiving, the Chiefs are going to be sitting at 5-7.
I could see that. I don't.
They're losing.
Not to spoil the underdog picks. I don't think they'll lose today.
They're losing today.
I can't. They're
losing to Dallas on Thanksgiving. That is some hot take here. But truthfully, if they were to get in at 7, I mean,
I'm just saying
anything's possible. It's the Chiefs.
Yeah. This is just my thoughts on the Chiefs. Like, we've talked, the last 3 years, we've kind of said, they went 15-2 last year, and people went into the playoffs saying, Bills are better. The Ravens, this is their year. And they still got to the playoffs. They still got to the Super Bowl. The year before that, they went 11-6. They had to go on the road in Buffalo. Everyone's like, this is Buffalo's year. The Chiefs got to go on the road now. No title game, no divisional round. It doesn't run. The playoffs don't run through Arrowhead. What do? They go on the road and beat the Bills and beat the Ravens. So I could still see a world where they get into the playoffs at 9-8 or 10-7, whatever, get that 7 seed, and knock off the 2 seed and make a run. I don't see it happening, but I'm saying I guess I wouldn't be shocked if it did happen just because of their track record. In terms of the top, I agree. I think the Patriots get the 1 seed. And I want to make this very clear. I have no faith in the Denver Broncos. No faith at all. To me, you need to have elite quarterback play to win some of these playoff games. The Broncos don't have it, and I don't really know if it's even inside of Bo Nix to do that. It's not like he's just going through some struggles that he could break out. He's just not good right now. He's been awful this season. Defense is great, and sure, defense wins championships, but I'm sorry. There's no chance that if Broncos and Patriots played each other, like Bo Nix in a big playoff game would outplay Drake May right now. I just don't see it happening. I still think they end up as the 2. I still don't believe in the Colts. Is it crazy for me to say that? It's just maybe just because who's under center. Nothing against Daniel Jones. They have an MVP candidate in Jonathan Taylor, but there is still part of me that thinks the Ravens could win out and potentially get the 3 seed. I'm very, and maybe it's because they're my Super Bowl pick, but I am very high on the Ravens making a run here. They're going to win the AFC North. I agree with that. Steelers are out. But because look at the Ravens schedule here. They play the Jets today. That's a win. Bengals on Thanksgiving should win that game. Then you get the Steelers. We both agree that they will probably win that game because we both have them winning the North. Then you play the Bengals again. You do get the Patriots, Packers, Steelers. I get there's a lot of AFC North matchups in there. AFC North in December, anything can happen. But Green Bay is beatable. Pittsburgh on the road second late there. Who even knows what things look like, but beatable. New England will be tough, so maybe they lose that game, but they could go 11-6. I do believe that with Baltimore. And I would still say that the Colts are the 2 or the 3 right now, but you don't think the Colts are jumping Denver, right? Or do you?
No.
Denver.
I'm right on board where you're at. New England's going to get the 1 seed, I think. So,
yes.
Denver's going to get 2. And just to briefly add on what I want to add on, if the Chiefs match up with Denver, set 2-7, the Chiefs are making a run. Denver, that season's over, but I don't think Denver gets the 1. I don't believe in them. I don't believe in Bo Nix. That team's awful. Like, not even going to go on a long rant about it.
The worst 9-2 team you've seen?
Absolutely. I mean, the most fraudulent football team I think I've ever seen was the 2020 Pittsburgh Steelers that were 11-0.
Yes.
And this 9-2 Denver team, but I'm right with you. I don't trust them against Drake May. I don't trust them against Justin Herbert. I don't trust this team come playoff time. But I think they're going to get the 2 seed. You're 9-2. You're kind of too far. Then again, Chargers right at 7-4.
Yeah, that 2020 Steelers team was probably the most fraudulent football team I've ever seen in my entire life.
Absolutely, 100%.
Start 11-0, finish 12-4, and get smoked by the Browns in the playoffs. That was fraudulent. I'm right there with you. I think there is a chance that the Ravens can jump up there, but I think most likely you're looking at the North as the 4, Chargers 5, Bills 6, and the Chiefs 7. I'll go Chiefs 7 here.
Like how neither one of us trust the Jags. The Jags are off a very not good 6-4.
They're the worst 6-4. They're the worst good team I've ever seen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Not even going long about it. I mean, I think I've watched the Jags maybe twice on TV this year. First time being Kansas City, and then the Raiders game. And I'm just watching Jacksonville. I'm just like, what's special about them? There's nothing fun. It is such a boring brand of football. So unconfusing because Liam Cohen in Tampa was so fun to watch last year. And now watching Jacksonville, if I see Jacksonville's on at 1 o'clock, I want to go do chores. Let me go do something.
Yeah, and that's what's so tough for me to buy into the Jags is you were hoping that you would see kind of the Baker Mayfield level jump with Trevor Lawrence this year, and you haven't seen it. I mean, they got smoked against the Chargers. 35-6. They got destroyed.
Oh, they
won that game. I'm sorry. They smoked the Chargers. Yes, my bad.
The funny part of it, because you beat the Chargers.
They
35,
yes, my bad. Because Herbert had the terrible. Herbert was like 7 of 15. My bad.
Awful. It was like, I don't get this Jacksonville team. You beat the Chiefs. You dominate the Chargers. You struggle with the Raiders. It takes overtime to beat the Raiders. This team ain't consistent. Who we just bashed, and we probably bashed more. This Jags team, I can't get a read on them.
Yeah, and they lost. I believe they had that loss too to the Bengals, the game where Burrow got hurt.
I think they did drop that.
That was Jake Browning, who I believe came in, 3 picks in that game, and they still found a way to lose. Trevor Lawrence had a couple interceptions of his own, but against that Bengals defense and Jake Browning, they couldn't find a way. So, yeah, they've had some interesting ones. I guess that's the concerning part, right? Is they have some bad teams coming up. at least on paper. They can't beat the bad teams.
That's the issue. Yeah, I mean, the Jags need to play anybody 2 or 3 games above 500 in order to look competitive, which is backwards. Which is like, hey, okay, come playoff time again. You're sitting at 7. If you match up with, New England, maybe you have a shot. That's a good football team, but you can't even trust the Jags. I don't trust the Jags to beat the Cardinals today. They're going to find a way to lose today, and that's just the Jags for you, I guess.
Yeah, and the Chargers kind of haven't talked a ton about them because they're going to probably get the 5 seed.
Very
right?
bad 7-14,
but they're
kind of,
you don't
honestly,
love them.
They're kind of just, we're being honest, they're kind of just mid. There's nothing exciting about them.
Yeah.
Like, they win games they should win. They lose games that they probably should win. They win games they probably should lose. Like, that's just the Chargers. I know it's kind of just a tongue twister there, but that's the truth against the Chargers. Again, no reason to go get smoked 35-7 or 35-3, whatever the case is, to the Jags. No reason to go into Miami and need a Ladd McConkey, save the day type of play to win off a field goal when you're up by 13 points. Like, this Chargers team is also very concerning. They're another one. Unless somehow you match up with the Steelers or the Broncos, I don't see the Chargers winning the playoff game. I don't trust them. And it's not even Herbert. It's just defensively, this unit was so good to start the year. Now this defense is awful. I can't trust them.
If the season would to end right now, they would face the North winner. Assume they probably face, if they finish the 5 seed, probably face the AFC North winner.
So if
which would be, and we think
they would play Pittsburgh.
Yes.
I think it's going to be Baltimore. If it was right now, they would play Pittsburgh and they would beat Pittsburgh on the road.
Yes, they would.
But if it's Baltimore, they lose to Baltimore, which how we think is going to shape up.
We could have a very, I don't know what this says. The AFC is a mess.
100%.
And I've said that for a couple weeks now. Like, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I don't see my top 3 Super Bowl contenders, none of them are in the AFC.
Yeah.
Personally. I don't believe in really any of these AFC teams. Like, New England would be my most, but even them, I have my doubts. And just in general, rookie quarterback. Well, second-year quarterback, but has played half the season last year.
Yeah.
Second-year quarterback, first-time playoff experience is what I really should say, not a rookie quarterback, but second-year quarterback, first playoff experience at all. Even New England, as much as they are well coached, you do have some questions, and we all love Mike Vrabel, but he hasn't gotten it done. Like, the Chargers you don't love, but my point with the AFC is you could get just because the division winners you don't fully believe in, that could lead to some crazy wild card finishes. Like, there's a real chance that 2 division winners get knocked off in wild card weekend. Whoever comes out of the North and Denver, maybe.
Yeah.
Which this is another reason why you don't want Jacksonville to win, because nobody in America needs to watch Jacksonville in the divisional round. We already saw that, 3 years ago when they beat the Chargers and then went into KC and lost.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to see that. Nobody. Anyway, that's the AFC. Moving on to the NFC, much stronger, much more, I guess, clear, maybe. I don't want to say that because the AFC is, you feel pretty good about 3 of the 4 division winners, but the NFC is much more loaded. How do you see this shaping out? Right now, Eagles, Rams, Bears, Bucks, in that order. Your 1 through 4, your division winners. And then your other wild card teams, Seattle, Green Bay, San Fran. Seattle with the tough loss against the Rams. Sam Darnold channeling his inner ghost game with 4 interceptions last week. Neither of us believe in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco, Detroit. I tend to lean Detroit, but where do you stand on the NFC playoff picture? And the Cowboys, too, still hanging around.
I didn't even put them in the hunt, even though they are winning today. But I think Honestly, I'm looking here. A few things I looked. Woke up and I saw the Bears are winning the division at 7-3. Thought that was a typo. They're fraudulent. I don't believe in the Bears, so I'm gonna just throw that out there. And the Bucks are they're hanging on a thread. They lose today. Carolina wins, I believe.
There's
I think
there's
Carolina
no
gets
chance
Monday
they win
night.
that division.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's scary for Tampa. But I mean, the way I think it's going to shape up, Rams are going to get the 1 seed. That's still my Super Bowl, winner. I think is still going to go heavy on that. Rams get the 1 seed. Philly drop down to the 2. I think the Lions win that division. I mean, I don't trust the Bears. I don't trust Caleb Williams. Um, there's no way this team is actually 7-3. And you just look at some of the ways that they've won games. I mean, I guess give them credit, cardiac kids, but a comeback against the Giants, you blow the Vikings game to start the year, and then you beat up on a bunch of terrible defenses. So I don't trust the Bears. I think the Lions are going to win that division if we're being honest. So I think they move to that 3 seed. Now this is where it gets tricky. The Bucks play the Rams today. The Bucks are 6-4. The Panthers are 6-5. The Panthers are playing good football, but I think they go on the road to San Fran Monday, if I remember that correctly.
Yes.
Can we trust the Bucks?
Well, Carolina against San Fran Monday.
Yeah, on Monday.
Yeah.
So I'm saying if the Bucks lose today, Carolina somehow sneaks out a win in San Fran on Monday, a whole different ball game. Because right now, honestly, I mean, I love Baker Mayfield, but I just can't trust the Bucks right now. But also, it's just like, do I really believe in my heart the Carolina Panthers will win the division? That one's tricky, but they're playing good ball. Again, they have beat some pretty decent teams. But I think Tampa still finds a way to win it. It's probably going to come down to the last game, if we're being honest. Tampa Bay will get the 4 seed. Seattle will get the 5. I think Green Bay is going to sit at the 6. And 49ers are going to get 7. I mean, also, too, just shout out San Fran, find a way to get it done, stand in the hunt. I think San Fran wins it. So I think the only 2 that drops, everything stays the same for the most part in terms of teams. But Bears don't win a division. Bears miss out on the playoffs, and Lions get into the playoffs instead by winning the division.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I want to go just on the Bucks point. I'll kind of start there. It's been a very interesting season for Tampa because you start out right 3-0, playing well, and then they beat Seattle in that big shootout game. They beat San Fran. They get to 5-1, and now since that point, they've been 1-3 over the last 4 games. The loss to Detroit, last week's drubbing against the Bills, putting up 44 points, which looks even worse after the Bills' performance against Houston on Thursday. They're banged up offensively. I think that's been one of the big reasons you've kind of seen some of these issues pop up at times offensively is you've had Emeka Egbuka, but Mike Evans has been out, and you've been Chris Godwin's been out now, should be back today against the Rams for Sunday night. But you should get Godwin back. But besides that, it's been Tez Johnson, Sterling Shepard behind Egbuka, and that's kind of been a little tough. And you did get the big Sean Tucker game last week, which was not enough, but still a huge game. Get a little healthier. Defense last week was disappointing. This is kind of how the Bucks have been, though. They went 10-7 last year. You go back to 2023, they were 9-8. That was enough to win the South, but now you have a team with Carolina where they're sticking around, and you still have 2 matchups against Carolina. I still don't believe in Carolina, though. Bryce Young had the huge game last week, right? 448 passing yards, which is crazy that they won that game in overtime only by 3. You would think with all those passing yards and a team in Atlanta, the way they're playing, they would have smoked them. But Bryce Young's been playing better. They're 6-5. San Francisco tomorrow will be a tough test, but I don't think they're going to win tomorrow. And then they got the Rams after that. So there's a really good chance the Panthers in 2 weeks from now or this time next week are kind of back down to earth. Could be wrong, but it's not so much the belief in the Bucks. I don't fully believe in Carolina. I agree. I think Detroit wins the division. Gets in as the 3. I think whoever comes out of the North will be better than the South. South is always South just at this point owns the 4 seed. There's no changing that. Philly Rams. I think the Rams jump Philly.
Yeah, they're going to be the 1 seed.
Yes. Good for your Super Bowl pick. Except the Bills.
Yeah, but 50% is better than 0, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance I'm looking at 0. Rams, Eagles, AFC, NFC North, Lions, Bucks. Seattle, Green Bay, San Fran. Now, what is your level of optimism that Dallas gets in?
If we're being honest, it's going to take quite a miraculous run. I mean, you look at the upcoming schedule. I could be off of where everyone's placed, but you get Philly today.
Yep.
You get Kansas City on Thanksgiving. It might be Minnesota after that. And I think
Detroit.
I know there's still a matchup with Minnesota.
Yes, Minnesota after. I just pulled up the schedule here. And then Chargers, Washington, Giants.
It's tough. It's tough, but I mean, realistically, it's hard to gauge last week off of what could possibly be because it's the Raiders. But offensively, this team has looked good offensively. We say it every week. I mean, they're, I believe, 4th or 5th in points, 4th and 5th in total yards. Like, this is a very good offense. The defense looked good. The defense played the Raiders. The defense played Geno Smith. Is like taking candy from a baby. Like, I can't really give props. But then again, hey, the week before that, you go out against Jacoby Brissett and you look awful. Week 2, you get torched by Russell Wilson. Your defense looks awful. You let Caleb Williams look like, Bart Starr out there. He looked great. Thing is with the Cowboys, I mean, honestly, it's going to take a miraculous run. We've seen Cincinnati do it, so it's not impossible. But there's no margin for error whatsoever. Also, considering you look at some of these teams that you have lost to, you lost to the Bears, you lost to the Eagles already, you split with the Packers. Now that one's you tied with the Packers. That one's kind of coming back to hurt you. You've lost to the Panthers. Like, all these teams that you've lost to are in the hunt.
Cardinals. Well, Cardinals not in the hunt, but a bad loss.
But just being in the NFC, that one hurts too. So the Cardinals was a big one. So, I mean, it's almost like you have to win out. If you lose one, it's going to have to be to the Chargers. It's the AFC. It doesn't matter and cut as deep as an NFC loss, but you have to completely win out. You beat the Giants. You beat Washington. That's great. But the other ones, I mean, you got to win them all. You have to. It's a possibility. I don't see them doing it, though. I think Dallas is going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, they've had some. You just look back on some of the losses, and that tie against Green Bay stings a ton. Yeah. You win that game, you're 5-5 right now, and then you would have obviously the head-to-head against Green Bay. But just losing games to Carolina was rough. Losing a game to Arizona at home was rough. Week 1 against Philly was there for the taking. Couldn't get it done. Yeah, you're right. You'd have to lose to either KC essentially or the Chargers. Yeah. If there was a game you'd lose. You got to beat Philly. You've definitely got to beat Detroit, especially if Detroit doesn't win the North and they're fighting for a wild card. That's a must win. You should be able to take down the Commanders and the Giants, no problem. So that's 6 wins?
6 wins.
I think you'll beat Minnesota. 7. You should beat the Chargers. Like, if you had to rank them easiest to hardest, Giants easiest, Commanders second easiest, Vikings third easiest, then the Chargers at 4.
Yeah. And then it's a team, they always played the Chargers tough, honestly, always a low-scoring game. Kind of got the Chargers' number, but then again, I mean, it's a whole new defense, but a Chargers team that defensively if the defense does show up, does have enough to stop our offense. Like, you can't trust Dallas in a low-scoring game. It has to be a shootout. I trust them more in a shootout to win that game than a 20-17, 24-7, 24-20. Dallas isn't built for those types.
Yeah. Yeah. And then probably KC, as crazy as that sounds, and then Philly, Detroit. Actually, I would probably say Detroit might be tougher because it's on the road.
Yeah.
But they're both tough. I mean, it's look, divisional matchup, Cowboys, Philly. That's a tough matchup. So it's probably still Philly. Especially if Dan Campbell goes for it every time.
I hate the Lions. I hate their brand of football. Take the points. You lose games because you don't take the points.
Jared Goff looked awful. Let's drop him back on 4th down again.
Just take the points. Philly kicked the field goals. At some point, Dan Campbell's coaching has to get questioned. And it's so hard to because this team is relevant. They're good. They're in the mix every year. But it's just like this hurt you in the NFC Championship game. This has costed you games last year. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it's awful. Right now, Dan Campbell, you need to take the points. Your offense doesn't struggle. They score. It's one of the best offenses in football. They can score points. Just take the points.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. All right. Here's a fun exercise. One more thing. Out of the teams that have no chance. So AFC, actually we'll stick with the NFC. Vikings, Cardinals, Falcons. Probably the Vikings, right? If you had to choose one to go on a run.
Yeah.
AFC, Dolphins, Bengals, Raiders. I would take my chances with the Bengals.
Burrow will be back next week. I would probably go with the Bengals as well.
They essentially almost did it last year. Right? 4-8, I believe they were.
Yeah, I think they were 4-8
and they won
made a run
5 in a row.
I think they needed Kansas City to win that last week.
And yes, against Denver.
Smoked them. So
Kansas City rolled Carson Wentz out there.
Yeah.
And they got, 31-0, I think it was, 31-3. They got steamrolled. So I would say it was Cincy as well. All right. Shedeur Sanders starting today. Browns, Raiders in Vegas. Shedeur with an opportunity to show the Raiders that they made a mistake not drafting him. Shedeur last week came in after Dylan Gabriel went down against the Ravens with a concussion. Kind of a rough debut, right? 4 of 16, 47 yards, had the pick, which was pretty ugly, in the near sideline to Nate Wiggins. What is your thoughts on, I guess, Shedeur last week and just expectations going into today's debut? It's a big opportunity for the rookie, right? Is he going to show that, hey, teams made a mistake not drafting me earlier, teams made a mistake not making me one of the highest draft picks in the draft, right? Picking them, we all saw mock drafts of inside the top 3. Now you let me fall to 5th round, prove him wrong. Do the Browns finally find a quarterback here with Shedeur today? What are your expectations for the rookie in Cleveland?
Honestly, I didn't even watch last week. I saw that he got in the game. I didn't know the stat line. If I'm being honest, all of my Twitter was flooded with his interception. So that kind of, says a lot of how Shedeur's viewed, but kind of take that one with a grain of salt. I mean, if you don't take any reps with the first team, it's going to be hard. And then I see the people that's kind of going with, well, Baker did it. Baker led a game-winning drive after not taking reps with the team.
Yeah.
So kind of a tough thing to balance. But for Shedeur, you get a week of practice with the first team this time. Ravens defense hasn't looked great, but, again, it's a divisional game. We know how tough AFC North games are when it comes to the defense. So
thrown into the fire.
Completely thrown into the fire, especially against the Baltimore team that basically is playing on fire, and they kind of know they have little to no room for error. So they're going to play their best ball. But for Shedeur today, if you want your, like you just said, like, hey, you guys messed up, you should have drafted me, today's the day to do it. This Raider defense is not good outside of Max Crosby, and Shedeur don't have a point to prove. I think the main thing for him is from his side of it, don't hold the ball too long. That seemed to be the thing at Colorado. Again, I didn't watch the Browns game last week, but a friend of mine who I work with, who is a Browns fan, who actually told me to bet on the Browns today. I didn't plan on donating money, but says Shedeur tended to hold onto the ball too much last week. The few times he did drop back, so just getting rid of the ball. I want to see a lot of quick game type of stuff, a lot of screens, just stuff to get the ball out of his hands. Nothing downfield. Even though he has a strong arm, just keep the game plan simple. And I want to see not really much from him, but give Quinshon Judkins the ball. I mean, Shedeur has never had a run game whatsoever. And we've talked about this before. I'm going to reiterate it. Quarterbacks are very rarely successful without a run game. You got your outliers, you got your Mahomes, those type of guys. But, hey, even 60 on the ground is good enough to keep enough balance. Yep. But, I mean, if Judkins is going to rush for 40 yards and Shedeur has to drop back 35, 36 times, they're not going to win the game. So I need Judkins and the Browns to just get him involved early. Whether that's, again, screens, hand the ball off, check downs, just those little things that build up Shedeur's confidence. I mean, the Browns-Raiders might be the most spotlighted game this week because everyone wants to see what Shedeur is going to do. So, go out there, build your confidence, and I think the Browns can come out with a win. But in order to do that, again, don't hold on to the ball too long, build the confidence, get the ball out your hands, make smart decisions, and don't be a hero. Just manage the game.
Yeah, I agree. Just make smart decisions. That's kind of spot on. That's what you want to see out of a young rookie quarterback. Don't force anything. There will be times to take those calculated risks, take shots downfield, but ease yourself into the game, make the good decisions, process well. And his pocket presence is something that I think you really want to look for. That was kind of an issue in college, and even something we saw in Carolina where pocket collapses, he runs backwards. Right? There was a couple bad sacks he took in the preseason. So stepping up in the pocket, understanding, pocket awareness, step to your left, step to your right, find the open guy. If not, scramble, try and extend the play. Don't do none of this, back up, 5-10 yards in the pocket and take a 12-yard sack. So those type of things that you want to look for. And it is a relatively soft landing spot. No, the Browns are not 8-2. They're 2-8, just like the Raiders, but this is a Raiders team that's not good at all. They're horrible. So it is a softer landing spot for Shedeur to go out there and get this game under his belt, and then a bigger test next week against San Francisco, where if he shows some signs this week, okay, then next week's a bigger test. And, those practice reps, you continue to go out there and try and get better as each week goes on. I think we'll walk away from this performance with Shedeur kind of okay. Like, I don't think he's going to go out there today and light it up. I don't think he's going to go out there today and lay a stinker. I think it's going to kind of be an okay performance that you roll him out there against San Francisco and see if he could show improvement on it. That's, I think, kind of where you're headed with that. Now, if he does play well today, Browns fans we finally got our quarterback.
Yeah, we know how that goes. You get one good game, and it's, here's the savior, Browns Super Bowl next year.
Yep.
Slow your roll. Super Bowl. Slow your roll.
Yes. All right. Shall we get to underdog picks? So, last week was another little bit of a struggle for us. We both went 1-2. So right on line with, I guess, where we've been. Look, the tank is alive and well.
We're doing it right. We're tanking right. Some teams don't know how to tank right.
We
do it the right way.
I'm 15-18. You're 13-20. So we definitely are. You're actually tanking better than I am. So I've got to up my tank game. And maybe I am actually tanking this week with some of these matchups. I've got some interesting matchups this week that I'm picking from. So we tied last week. Doesn't matter who wants to go first.
Yeah, I'll start it off.
I guess you can jump up. Sure.
This is one that I've been saying all day. First one, though, give me Colts plus 3.5. I think this Colts team wants to prove a point. I mean, it's kind of been some chatter just after the Pittsburgh game. Are they for real? Can they beat the good teams? Is Daniel Jones back to Daniel Jones? and then you go out and you have a performance against the Falcons like you had, they kind of prove like, hey, no, we are a good football team. I think they're going to double it up and prove once again they're a good football team. Give me Colts plus 3.5. I know it's on the road in Arrowhead. I just don't trust the Chiefs, and I'm praying on the downfall of the Chiefs. So I like Colts plus 3.5 today. Actually to win outright. Second outright winner, but I'm gonna go just spread the case. Cowboys plus 3. First matchup in Philly. I mean, you don't look how actually. If we're being honest, that's probably the best they looked defensively all year. Besides last week against the Raiders was that week 1 matchup. So now you get some reinforcements. DeMarvion Overshown is finally back. Probably should see more snaps today. So finally someone to spy Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts had a field day on us last time rushing. I believe 2 rushing touchdowns. So then you got a linebacker with some speed, kind of just follow him around the field. Quinnen Williams, thank you so much. Greatest things New York has ever done. It's pizza and giving Cowboys. Quinnen Williams. We had a big game last week, so he obviously made a big deal. Not too much from Logan Wilson, but, still waiting to see more. And then you get some reinforcements back in the secondary. I don't trust Jalen Hurts. Last time they played, I think A.J. Brown was held to 8 yards. Devontae Smith didn't have a great game. Not going to happen today. Those guys are going to have, obviously, more of an impact. But I don't trust Jalen Hurts with his arm. I think they slow down Saquon again. Give me Cowboys plus 3 outright winner as well. And then lastly, I'm going to go Bucks plus 7. I don't think they win, but I think they need to they got to stay afloat. We just talked about it. If Carolina, right on the outside finds a way to maybe beat San Fran tomorrow, they are winning the division. Bucks need to find a way to keep it close. I think if they can keep it close going into the fourth quarter, they have a good shot at winning this game. I don't think they're going to win. I just think they cover. Bucks plus 7 to wrap it up.
All right, I like those. I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction. I'm going to go with some bad matchups. Give me the Browns plus 3.5 over the Raiders. New quarterback bump with Shedeur. I think he goes out there, plays well enough to win. This isn't even so much about the Browns. The Raiders are terrible. Their offense is terrible. And frankly, the Browns defense is very, very good. So I think they'll get it done. I think this is a low-scoring, ugly game. Give me the Browns plus 3.5 to win this one against the Raiders. Shedeur picks up his first win in his first start. I'm going to go Falcons as well. Another ugly game over the Saints. Falcons plus 1.5. No Michael Penix, so it is Kirk Cousins under center versus Tyler Shook. What a matchup we have here. Why is this game televised, I ask?
Is it actually? Is that
yes.
the 1 o'clock game for today?
4:25 on Fox, actually.
Oh,
a little bit of the later time slot for this one, for this doozy.
TikTok Live must have been full because
this is ugly. Should have been 4:25 in the morning. Tyler Shook, Michael Penix, or Tyler Shook, Kirk Cousins, whoever's playing quarterback, they both stink. Both teams stink. Kellen Moore's done nothing. Raheem Morris is on the hot seat. So this is about as big of a tank you can get in this game. So give me the Falcons plus 1.5 just because the Saints, I think, are worse. Finally here, this has been, I've kind of been going back and forth a little bit with a couple matchups. The Giants plus 14, just covering the 14-point spread has went through my mind just because Jameis is going to score points and they're going to be a little entertaining. So just because of that, they might cover. But I just don't trust the Giants defense enough against that Lions. I think this is a huge get-right game for the Lions before Thanksgiving against the Packers in a massive NFC North showdown next week. Or not next week, just a couple days from now on Thanksgiving. So I think this is a big get-right game for them. So I'm going to steer away from that one where I think they're just going to tear apart the Giants offense. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go Cowboys, though, plus 3 over the Eagles to pick up the win. You were pretty spot on with that assessment about the Cowboys with their defense, how well they played in week 1 against the Eagles up until last week against the Ravens. At home, Cowboys got to play with a little bit of desperation this time of year, right? We kind of talked about it earlier, but their playoff chances 4-5-1 right now. You got to pick up a win today. You got to start to pick up wins against these NFC teams. Always good to beat the Eagles, and you beat the Eagles today. You win 2 in a row. You set up an opportunity against a Chiefs team who maybe goes into that game 5-6 on Thanksgiving at home. You really start to look at this Cowboys team and maybe say they can rattle off a couple wins and really get back into the conversation. So I'll go Cowboys +3 to take down the Eagles today. So 2 terrible games and the game of the day is where I'll pick it from.
I believe, are you watching Countdown right now on your TV?
Yes, I was. Yes, I am.
I believe, I don't know if you just saw that stat, but Dak Prescott is the second, well, he's behind Brady for the longest active winning streak at home against divisional rivals. Brady has 18. Brady has 20. Dak had 18. I believe they said Brett Favre had 18. We're going to make it 19 today for Dak. Dak ball. We got to love Dak ball.
All right. That is an interesting stat. Big Cowboys win today. We need it. We both need it. We both need it for the underdog picks. For the integrity of the underdog picks, we need the win. All right. Any closing thoughts?
As usual, thank you guys for watching. Maybe see you Thursday before Thanksgiving. Maybe see you Sunday. But as usual, enjoy your weekend as well. See you next week.
Yes, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Thanksgiving if we don't see you before then. And enjoy all the football on Thanksgiving. And, yes, we will see you next week. Week 13 season continues to fly by, almost into December. So talk to you then.